ends up helping him. She had a lot of great ideas, a lot of, she helped him with a lot of the research. So they're having a great afternoon. And then he's like, pick one of the movies off of your list. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. He was paying attention. So they watch it with Adam and Mira. And then after they go upstairs, he's like, let me work a little bit more and then I'm going to tend to you. And she's like, all right. So she goes in the bathroom, and by the time she comes out, she hears snoring. Well, she's a night owl. She's used to working late at the club. So she leaves. She goes downstairs and she goes swimming. Of course, Sophia pops up. She's liquored up, but that means she's finna tell it. Okay. So she, of course, blatantly says, he's never gonna love you. I was like, damn. Ain't that how we start a scene? Like, shit. So then, of course, Elena's like, well, why would you say that? And she's like, because he's a sociopath. She was like, he's incapable of love. And he was diagnosed as a sociopath when he was 20 years old. And so then Sophia starts listing all of the traits of a sociopath. And, of course, Hudson fits, like, all of the fucking... all of the damn, he fits all of them. I'm like, shit. All the characteristics, he got them. And so poor Elena, like, the truth of the matter is, like, she's falling in love with the dude, and it's just, it's torture for her to hear that, because it's like, okay, he'll never love me. And so she gets out of the pool. She goes in the house. She's crying. And then she gets herself together. She goes back in the room. And she's kind of stern. And he hears her. And he's like, what's going on? And she's just like, I just need you. And so they had sex. And she's like, maybe this will be enough for me. And the truth, that shit ain't going to be enough for her. But, sometimes with a person, it's like, okay, I'd rather have them there than nothing at all. So I feel bad for the poor girl. But then the next morning, they go down for breakfast. The whole family's there. Sophia, she's still being a little snarky. The family decides to go down for a beach day. But before they leave, Sophia brings up that Celia's going to be in town tomorrow. And apparently she's going to come over for lunch, as well as start going over ideas for doing the interior of the house, because she is an interior designer. So, Sophia's like, oh, she did Hudson's place. What part is your favorite? And she's like, Elena's like, oh, actually, I loved all of it. She did a great idea. She clearly knows him. And that wasn't the response Sophia was looking for, because, of course, this bitch, she's throwing daggers, So Mira gets upset, and she's like, why would you do that? Like, why are you bringing her up? Like, why? And, of course, Sophia plays that whole game of, like, coy, like, I don't know what you're talking about. So they go down to the beach. They're playing volleyball. And Mira's saying that, damn, she wish she could play, but, she's pregnant. And so then Sophia says, well, yeah, she got to protect our first grandchild. And then Jack says, well, that's not true, because the first grandchild was actually Celia's and Hudson's baby. I said, oh, shit. God, what? So Elena, the poor girl, she's losing it. She runs off. She's crying. Hudson comes behind her, and he's like, Elena, slow down. She's like, nothing. I'm okay. I'm fine. He's like, no, you're not. You're crying. She's like, no, I'm fine. I'm just giving them the whole upset girlfriend act, But he knew it was a lie. She was fucking pissed. And so he's like, he's like, I'm sorry. I should have told. She's like, how could you not tell me that? Like, literally, how could you not tell me something that important? Because she should have been sideswiped. That's the shit I don't like. Let me know what the fuck is going on. Don't let me get sideswiped. Like, that's so fucked up. And he knows that girl has feelings. Even if he doesn't, he knows she does. And it's like, she's asked you to not do that to her. Stop putting her in those positions. So it's just so fucked up. So, they talk it out. At first, she's like, you fucking lying. Like, you know, this, you're not telling me the truth, you know. And he's like, no, he's like, I'm telling you the truth. Like, it wasn't, I didn't get her pregnant. He was like, but I did go along with saying that it was mine. And she's like, well, why? But he wouldn't go into details. And so that pissed her off even more, because it's like, here goes another thing that they share and I'm left out of it. So they talk some more. She goes back out. They play volleyball, have a good time for the rest of the night. They go upstairs. They have sex that night. It's intense. And she's kind of in this mode of, she knows she loves him and she's going to tell him and she's going to get it out of him. And so she's riding him. They're like looking at each other, and she's like, we're in love. We're falling in love. And when she said that, he was like, enough. He flipped her over and he rammed her good. And I mean, she was happy that at least afterwards he didn't like push her away. He did let her like snuggle with him. So the next morning, wakes up and Hudson's not in the bed. So she's just thinking, okay, maybe he just went downstairs first. So she goes in the closet to get some clothes, and her clothes are the only ones there because Hudson's stuff is gone. So she goes downstairs, and Sophia and Mira are in the kitchen, and Sophia was happy to tell her, oh, Hudson left with Celia. And Mira was like, there you go again. Why do you keep doing that? And Mira was like, it was an emergency business meeting that he had to fly to Cincinnati. And Celia was here and she offered to take him. And he left the car so you could drive it back. Elena's still crushed because she's like, oh my gosh, she left me here. She's, she's in no real, she can't drive, okay? She's not in that type of state of mind. So Jack offers to take her, and so so Mira followed her up to the room, and she's like, I know he loves you, even if he hasn't said it. He does. And she's like, what makes you so sure? She said, because he doesn't act this way. I've never seen him this way with anybody. And so Elena just, let her say what she wanted, but she was just like in a whole nother world. So she goes downstairs to wait for Jack, and then of course Sophia pops up. And she's like, I don't know what you're shocked of why he left, And I was just like, this woman is relentless. Like, oh my gosh. And so she's like, I told you he's incapable of feeling anything. So I really don't understand what you're surprised. And Elena says, you know what, but you're wrong, because he is capable. And she's like, and why are you so sure of that? She said, because if he can love a family member like you, who doesn't believe in him and that belittles him and does all the things and do all these things to him, and he still love you, then yeah, he is capable of love. And Sophia couldn't say shit. I said, I would think by now she would leave this girl the fuck alone. I will give it to her. She has some good comebacks. Like, shout out to Elena. She has some great comebacks. And that woman just keeps coming at her. And it's like, she has them back, even though she's like falling apart on the inside. But she got her comebacks together. I love it. So on the trip back, they didn't talk that much. Jack, would make a little conversation, but he kind of let her be with her thoughts. She checked her text messages and voice messages. She had a bunch from Brian. Brian had left like 11 fucking messages. And Hudson, he had left a message as well. But it just still wasn't enough. She was still just really upset that he left her. And so she gets back to her apartment, and she had sent Hudson a text that, I just hope, I'll be here when you get back. She had a ton of thoughts of what she wanted to send and rants she wanted to do, but she didn't do it. She didn't give in to that, and she sent that text. And a couple of minutes later, boom, 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 is on the door. She's thinking it's Hudson, but it's not. It's Brian. He's pissed because he's like, where have you been? And she's like, I've been out of town. And he's like, with who? With him? And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you're with Hudson Pierce. You're dating Hudson Pierce. Do you not realize how powerful that family is? He's like, if you screw this up, I can't get you out of this, you know? And she's like, oh, so you're concerned with them. You don't even care about me. And he's like, no, I'm not concerned about you. He's like, you're the one that has the history of stalking, breaking and entering. And he just went on. And she was like, get the fuck out. And he was like, the name on the lease, my name's on the lease. And she's like, well, I'll get it changed. She was like, or I'll call the police and then you'll have another scandal to deal with. Either way, get the fuck out. And so he's like, I'm not cleaning this up if you screw this up. I'm done with you. And she said, fine. And she closed it. And normally she would have had a panic, you know, and freaked out, but she didn't. She felt relief. So she goes to work that Monday. She's kind of out of it. She's not her normal excited self when they're discussing business. David notices. He's like, what's going on in that pretty little head of yours? And she's like, just stuff. He asked her if she loved Hudson, and she said, I do, and I don't know how it happened, but it did. And then he said, you know, well, does he love you? And she was like, honestly, I don't know. And he was like, you know, I was such a fool to let you go. And he's like, you know, if it doesn't work out, remember me. And she's like, okay, I will. But she didn't want that man. That's a wrap. So David comes to hug her. And then all of a sudden he abruptly like lets her loose. Hudson walked in. And Hudson was like looking crazy. And so David was like, I'll let you two talk. And when he left, Hudson's like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, nothing. He was just hugging me. It was just a friendly hug. And he was like, are you fucking him? And she's like, no. He was like, but you almost did. And she's like, what are you talking about? Now, actually, she had almost effed him. Not that day. But back in the day when they used to, you know, it wasn't that long ago. When they used to kiss and stuff, you know. But she didn't think this was like an appropriate time to bring that up. So then he kind of told her what had been going on with Plexus. Come to find out, Plexus had been sold. She had saw that in the news thing that David had shown her. Plexus was sold. He was trying to save it. So then she felt bad because she had made everything about her, and it wasn't that. It was something completely different going on. And then he tells her about the situation with Celia, that basically he played that game with Celia where he spent the summer making her fall in love, and then he crushed her. And then she went on this whole spell of doing drugs, sleeping with all kind of men, and apparently she didn't know who the father was, so he stepped in to save face. And then about 3 months into the pregnancy, she lost it, and it was probably because all the drugs and shit she had taken, you know. And so he felt guilty about it because he's telling her, I'm a bad person because I'm the reason that happened to her. Like, if I would have never played with her feelings like that, she would have never went down that path. So, you know, she understands. She's made decisions and done things that have affected other people, and she's like, you can't, you know, you may have done horrible things in the past. It doesn't make you a horrible person. And so he tells her, you know, he wants to do this for real. He doesn't want her to be his fake girlfriend. He wants it to be for real. And she's like, okay. And then he's like, all right. He's like, I'll have Jordan bring you to my actual, to his home. So where they've been going, that's not where he lives. That's just, it really was his fuck pad. I don't care what it really was that. He has a home somewhere else. So that's how it ends. But we got 4 more books. So you already know this is going to get real twisted and crazy before it's over with. So our next book is called Found in You. So I'm going to get that one to you next week. Make sure you guys leave a comment in the discussion board section, or just in the regular comments. You can leave something. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.